It's time now for the Kill the Can podcast.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Kill the Can podcast. Tonight is Monday, July 22nd. It has been a minute since I've recorded a podcast. It's been about 2 weeks. Last episode of the podcast I did was episode 46, and I did answering some YouTube comments and questions, and I wasn't quite sure how that was going to work, and I'm happy to say that it worked pretty well. I thought I got some really good feedback on that. It allowed me to take some time and respond to some comments, and so I think I'm going to do that again tonight. My life has been kind of crazy lately. I think I've said on the podcast before, I've got 3 boys, got 2 of which are in high school. One of them plays travel basketball. The other one plays travel baseball. And that means my summers are kind of chaos, right? And so it's, and I'm not complaining by any stretch of the imagination, but when I'm gone Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, a lot of weeks, it just makes it really difficult for me to keep to some of the kind of schedules, especially with a podcast, that I had hoped or that I have been kind of accustomed to. I am really excited. I was down this past week in Nashville. Nope. I was in Louisville. I was in Nashville a couple weeks ago. I was in Louisville, Kentucky this past week, and I got the opportunity to meet with a quitter that I'd never met before. Ed T3329 was nice enough to come, and we had lunch at Mission Barbecue, and it was awesome to meet another quitter face to face. If you don't know Ed, I would suggest you look him up on the Discord server. He is an awesome dude. I'm really proud to be quit with him. He's in the November 2021 group, if I remember correctly. Awesome dude. I just had a blast sitting with him and kind of hearing his story. And it was really good to see him face to face. And that is one of the beauties of when I'm out traveling, whether it's for travel baseball or for work or what have you. I really do try to go out of my way to get together with some quitters, meet some quitters. And I know I've talked about it on the podcast in the past, but if you haven't done that, and if you are trepidatious about meeting anybody face to face, I would urge you to absolutely go out of your way to do it. It will not only make your quit that much stronger, but you're going to meet some awesome people along the way. I would highly recommend you go out of your way to meet a fellow quitter face to face. It's one thing to trade numbers and chat with somebody and text with somebody or what have you. It's another thing entirely to sit face to face, break bread, have a drink, have a cup of coffee, have a lunch, whatever it is. And I just could not recommend it enough. And huge thanks to Ed for coming out and meeting me for lunch. I had a blast. And the next time I'm in Louisville, brother, I will definitely look you up. The other thing that I've got personally coming up here, my 18-year quit anniversary is on Wednesday. It is July 24th. I will be quit 18 years. And that is an accomplishment. It's a day on the calendar that I circle. It's a day that, while my wife will recognize and my kids might recognize, that really is a day for me. And it's a day for my reflection of not even really the work that I've done, but the work that the community, the Kill the Can community, has done really on my behalf to help me stay quit for those 18 years. And it really is, I will probably record a podcast or some social media on that day to kind of give my thanks once again. But as I'm sitting here recording this two nights prior to my anniversary, huge, massive thanks to anybody that has been a part of my quit journey. I am eternally grateful for everything that you have done. I would not be where I am 2 days shy of 18 years without you. So thank you from the bottom of my heart. It really does. I can't even begin to put into words what your support and brotherhood and sisterhood has meant through these 18 years. This year, July 24th is also unfortunately the anniversary of my father's death. My father had passed away a year ago on July 24th. And as if that date wasn't important, or important's the wrong word, special enough to me, also this year, unfortunately, and every year moving forward, it will be a day of remembrance for my dad. And so I don't know, it's going to be interesting because every year previously I have this little local watering hole that I go to called the Annex Bar and Grill. And I go and I just kind of, most of the time I just kind of sit by myself and just kind of reflect. And this year will be a little bit different. Not only will I toast to my fellow quitters, but I'll obviously toast to my dad. And it's just one more reminder that I fucking hate cancer. Lung cancer took him, and he took him from me way too early. And I miss him. And it's a kick in the balls, but it's a constant reminder of kind of the battle that we are fighting day to day. All right, with that, going to get into some YouTube comments. Again, as I did on the previous episode, basically what I do is I read the comment and, I'll kind of hit pause and I'll respond, and I'll go and I'll respond on YouTube, but I'm also kind of giving the response here on the podcast as well. And really, again, the reminder is, the reason I'm doing this is I recognize that there are people that come to the Kill the Can community through various different avenues. Some of them come to us through the website, some through Discord, some through social media, YouTube, what have you. And I'm realizing that there is a group of people, and it's actually a growing group of people, that come to us from the podcast and don't actually engage with us on any of those other platforms. So I thought this would be a really good way to get some of those questions and answers out to a broader audience. So that's why I'm doing it here on the podcast as well. So this first comment comes from a comment on a YouTube video, Sacred Sam 6046. And basically he says, you have the right mindset, keep your head up. And what he's responding to is, this was on a video that I posted about grind spearmint. And it was basically kind of a first look. And somebody 8 or 9 months ago said, oh, what a waste of time. And I think they're referring to the fact that Grinds is a fake dip product, no tobacco, no nicotine, which is the same as every other product that I review on the site, or I review on social media, or on the podcast, or what have you. And so I responded to them. I was like, hey, I'm not quite sure I'm following what a waste of time. And then there was kind of some back and forth about basically haters, right? And I just wanted to call out Sacred Sam here because I appreciate the positivity. I understand that haters and trolls are really a part of social media, and I get that, and I'm okay with that. I just wanted to point out and thank Sacred Sam for the kind words. I really do appreciate it, and it goes a long way. Thanks, brother. Next comment is from Andy Bowles 2935. He says, I'm on day 2 right now. So far, God has blessed me from having bad cravings. So far, it's been a smooth transition. Amen. And Andy, first of all, congratulations on 2 days free from nicotine. You actually left this comment 6 days ago. So congratulations on 8 days of freedom. That is amazing. I sincerely hope that you are still craving free. I can tell you that if you are craving free after 8 days, you can really consider yourself one of the lucky ones, because that is pretty abnormal to not have any cravings. That being said, even if and when those cravings hit you, I would strongly urge you to push through, drink a lot of water, get involved in our community, because those cravings will not last very long. And everything that you're going through to get and maintain that freedom is 100% worth it. Congrats on 8 days. I'm honored to be quit with you. This next one comes from Caleb1, and it is on this sorry your boyfriend is addicted to ZYN video that I've got that has at this point like 200 comments on it. And it's funny. I think I talked about this video on the last podcast. I mean, it's like, for some reason, ZYN users, the amount of vitriol that I get when I come out and talk about anything anti-ZYN, it's pretty staggering. But so in this video, if you recall, I basically say, hey, I'm sorry. So the video is this girl scrolling kind of across her home, and there are ZYN pouches out everywhere. And then I cut and I said, hey, sorry, your boyfriend is addicted to ZYN. It's true, or something to that effect. And this guy says, wow, you're so enlightened. I'm sure no one would have guessed that he's addicted if you didn't help us understand. And so, he's whatever. I mean, he's being sarcastic, but I think it's, it's important to understand. I really truly believe that there was a lot of ZYN users out there that do not understand the depth of their addiction. I really truly believe that they don't understand that nicotine is addictive, that ZYN contains nicotine. And, I think they truly think that ZYN is really no big deal. And so that's why I put this kind of content out. So regardless of this particular kind of sarcastic comment, I think it's really important. And again, I'm not one of these people that says you have to quit, right? I just want to put information out there if and when somebody makes a decision to quit, that they've got reliable information out there from people that have gone through it and understand what they're going through. These next two comments come from responses to the previous episode answering YouTube comments and questions, which is Kill the Can podcast episode 46. First one comes from James Sturkey. He says, I'm curious. My gum line has receded after 2 weeks. It's only on one tooth, but it stays sore all the time, and I need to know what to do. Here's what I can tell you. If you are putting anything between your cheek and gum, whether it's real dip, fake dip, cotton balls, sunflower seeds, anything, there is a potential for irritation of your gum line. It's also fair to say that your gums won't necessarily ever grow back. So if you've got a tooth that is staying sore all of the time, I would strongly, or if you're still dipping, I'm not quite sure from your comment if you're currently using, if you are using tobacco right now, I would strongly urge you to quit. At the very least, and this is not something that I would recommend, but at the very least, don't put it in that same spot. I think there's probably value in going and talking with your dentist, having them take a look at it, because if it is something very serious, you really do want to get ahead of it. I'm going to leave this comment. I hope you get back to me, James, because I'm interested in kind of what it is specifically about that area, that one specific tooth. And it might be something, it might not be something serious at all. It might be something, you've got, you just have a toothache, right? And you have irritated it by using, again, whether it's fake dip or real dip or what have you. But I would absolutely recommend not using in that particular area and go see a dentist for sure. The other comment on this video came from Seth Moxie, and he says 130 days in, quitting nicotine was the single most difficult mental battle I've ever gone through. It's a journey. It's almost like you have to relearn to deal with stress and live life. So thankful to have a great support system after 11 years of dipping 1.5 to 2 cans per day. I'm finally free. Seth, brother, congratulations on 130 days of freedom. You absolutely nailed it. It is one of the single most difficult mental battles you will ever go through, and you do indeed need to relearn everything. You need to relearn how to not be a dipper. And at 130 days in, and again, this came in 13 days ago, so 143 days in, you're still going to have some struggles as you get up to, you start to deal with things that you've never dealt with as a quitter, right? So for me, I always say that 100-day Hall of Fame was awesome, but I didn't truly think I had my arms wrapped around what it meant to be quit until I hit about 360 or 400 days. because at that point I had done every single day on the calendar. But you are well on your way. Congratulations. Honored to be quit with you. It's an amazing accomplishment, my friend. Next comment is from Ant2148. This is on a video entitled, "When I tried ZYN pouches instead of dipping, they really messed me up." Ant says, "I popped a 6 milligram and it didn't do a single thing to me. I don't know why." Short answer is I don't know why either. I don't know. I mean, it's entirely possible. I don't know from your comment if you're a nicotine user to begin with. So as an example, if you maybe say you smoke 2 packs a day as an example, now 6 milligrams is not going to do anything for you. Who knows? Maybe you were hammered, maybe you were drunk. I don't know. Or maybe you're one of those people that really isn't affected by nicotine all that much. I would imagine that if you have never had nicotine and you weren't under the influence of something else, popping a 6 milligram nicotine pouch would absolutely knock you on your ass. But again, it's kind of difficult for me to say without a little bit more context. I would also say that if popping a 6 milligram didn't do anything for you, then really there's no reason ever to go back and get yourself hooked again. Appreciate the comment though. Thank you. Next comment is from McSliz 2022, and he says, "I'll turn 40 on July 19th. I've chewed since age 14, several attempts to quit, 3 that lasted 2 to 4 months. Last attempted quit was 7 years ago. For the last year, I've said I will be done by 40. I have between 1 to 2 cans daily. Literally, I want to go cold turkey on my birthday. I'm ready, but feel it's impossible, literally impossible." So you turned 40. I'm recording this on Monday, July 22nd. You turned 40 3 days ago. First of all, happy birthday. Happy 40th. I'm here to tell you it absolutely is possible. I was right in your shoes. I didn't quit on my birthday, but I went, and I cannot tell you how many of those milestones, first kid, graduation, birthday, anniversary, that I let slide by. I can promise you, you absolutely can do it. I would urge you, if you haven't, don't try to do it on your own. Get involved in a community, the Kill the Can community at Discord, KillTheCan.org/Discord. There are literally thousands of people there quitting one day at a time. We understand what you're going through because we are right there for you. Look me up on my Discord server. It's Chewy. I'm in October 06. You absolutely can do it. You are not alone, and it is possible. You got this, brother. Let me know how I can help. Next comment is on that same "sorry your boyfriend is addicted to ZYN" video. And this is from Kyle Hammond. And I'm going to read this because I cannot even begin to tell you how many of these comments similar to this that I get, not only on this video, but any kind of ZYN content that I make. And I have to give it to Kyle because to type up something like this really just kind of goes to show his he refers to it as inspiration. So I just have to read it. A couple 6 milli vanilla Zimbabwe's and I'm off to the races. Saves me an hour of smoke breaks at work, and I don't reek talking to customers. I don't leave them lying around everywhere, though. I put them in my tool pouch or my back pocket and empty them at the end of the day before I do laundry. Same goes for cigarette butts when I smoke. I don't understand what's so difficult about throwing them away. My friend isn't allowed at the fishing cabin anymore because he flicks lit butts into the woods full of dried pine needles and leaves, not to mention the hundreds tossed around the driveway or patio by the end of the weekend, all coincidentally right next to the garbage and fire pit. Can't forget the ones he throws in the boat. Just put them in an empty beer can. If you don't have an empty, then drink faster. We go up there because it's a slice of heaven, but I don't think it's heaven littered with cigarette butts. Sigh. A bottom compartment would be nice, like other brands, for spent pouches so they don't slime up my pockets, but they dry up soon enough like a miner on a hook. Just don't confuse them for a fish whistle. They do the trick when I'm sober. However, after a 12 pack and a couple of nose nachos, I do be looking for a cowboy killer. Same is true when nothing at work is going right and I'm about to start throwing shit. They keep you focused for sure. And currently I'm focused on getting that trigger, a little zinspiration, if you will. And all I'll say to that is, Kyle, I appreciate the comment. Thank you for chiming in. I got nothing, man. Next comment is from Diesel Outlaw Truck 8374, and he says, I'm on day 4, and I'm wondering, when do the feelings of having a heart attack start to go away? So, Diesel, here's what I can tell you. The good news is, in all likelihood, there's really nothing wrong with you other than you're going through withdrawal. There's an article on the site called What to Expect When You Quit Dipping. And again, you're on day 4. And so you're in a really rough spot. So day 1 through 3 is really just kind of pure hell. Nothing seems real. You're in the fog. Your brain is wondering like what the hell you did. Day 4 through 20 is a lot of mind games. The nicotine is out of your system, but this is when you really start to deal with some physical things like craving and irritability and insomnia. If you're like me, and it sounds like you are, you really start to get chest pains and tightness and shortness of breath and those kind of things. I think I've talked about several times on the podcast. I took myself to the ER twice, 2 or 3 times early in my quit because I thought I was having a heart attack. And the good news is it turns out it wasn't a heart attack. It was just I was dealing with anxiety, dealing with quitting nicotine. It's tough for me to say exactly when that is going to subside for you. I'm guessing, and again, I'm getting this comment 2 weeks late. I'm guessing it has already subsided for you. If you are 3 weeks in, something like that, your anxiety levels really should be coming down at this point. If they're not, there's nothing wrong with going to see a doctor, especially when you're dealing with anxiety. There are some medications and some things that they can prescribe that can really help when it comes to anxiety, specifically anxiety as it pertains to quitting nicotine. I would strongly urge you, don't go back to nicotine. Don't take nicotine lozenges. Don't go back to dip, anything like that. At this point, you're on day 4, or at this point, you're a couple weeks past that. The nicotine is out of your system. Absolutely do not reintroduce it because you are free. There's no reason to go back. Do me a favor, respond to this comment. I would love to hear how you're doing a couple of weeks past that. I'm guessing you're better, but I want to hear from you. I appreciate the comment, brother. Next comment is from Vivaldimoni. Vivaldimoni? I'm right there with this commenter. I use until the point I know I have nicotine poisoning, but I'll continue even past that. I survived 2 years of benzo withdrawal, but I can't beat a little pouch. I'm going to read that again. I use until the point I know I have nicotine poisoning, but I'll continue even past that. And I'm not reading this comment making fun or making light of this commenter. I'm reading it and I'm pointing it out because of how incredibly important it is. It shows just how difficult a nicotine addiction can be to beat. I'm telling you, you can do this. It may feel like it's impossible. You have to make it in your mind that nicotine is not an option. Make a decision and quit today. Don't worry about forever. Forever is too big. Quit one day at a time. If one day is too much, quit for 1 hour at a time and then repeat and repeat and repeat. You can do this. Next comment is from Vishal PMO. They say, I'm quitting using Bupropion tablets, day 7 and counting. First of all, congratulations. Day 7 is amazing. That particular drug is also sold under the brand name of Wellbutrin. It is primarily an antidepressant used to treat major depressive disorders, and it's used as a smoking support cessation drug. That's an amazing accomplishment. 7 days in, I'm getting to this comment a couple weeks late. Keep up the awesome work. You've got this. Take it one day at a time. One of these days, you're going to need to go off the Wellbutrin to be free, but you're building yourself an amazing foundation for when you go drug and nicotine free. You've got this, my friend. Next comment here, I can only assume is a troll, but maybe not. Comment is from Kurt Cobain's. Comment is, never smoked a cigarette, but I want to start doing ZYN. I can't for the life of me fathom why you would want to do this unless you have bought into the narrative that ZYN is somehow a positive thing. There's a huge narrative out there that nicotine is good for you and it helps with this and it helps with that. And again, I'm not even disputing some of those things. And what I've always said is, as a nicotine addict, I can't enjoy those potential benefits. But what I can tell you is the overwhelming majority of people that dabble with nicotine, whether it be smoking cigarettes, cigars, smokeless tobacco, ZYN, what have you, they get addicted to nicotine. And my contention is that once you become a nicotine addict, any benefit that you might derive from using that product is going to go out the window or is going to be overshadowed very quickly by the downsides of using these products. So if you've never smoked and you've never used smokeless tobacco, I would suggest you steer far, far away from ZYN and any other nicotine product. Appreciate the comment. Next comment here is from the Boss Bay 71. Says, congrats, keep going. They say nicotine is worse than drug addiction and we're killing it. Got after it and overcame. And I think I've mentioned this on previous podcasts. I can't speak to any other drug addictions because, knock on wood, I've not been addicted to those other drugs. All I can say is quitting a nicotine addiction is not something to be trifled with. And it is not something to be underestimated. There's a lot of times, a lot of these comments that I will get where people, I think, want to minimize or diminish a nicotine addiction. And I think it's primarily because nicotine is legal and it's everywhere. And because of that, people want to set it aside as if it's not something difficult to overcome. It absolutely is. And again, I won't compare it to drug addiction, but I can tell you that beating a nicotine addiction is an absolutely massive accomplishment that totally should be celebrated. Really great comment here from OKZH8PW. And this is actually, I think, in response to a comment that I made on the last podcast where I said, quitting isn't easy, it's simple. And this was the commenter that was talking about how once you figure out how the brain works and dopamine works, quitting an addiction is easy. And I said, you're correct that once you know how the brain and dopamine acts, the steps to beat an addiction become simplistic. To suggest that beating an addiction is ever easy, regardless of how much knowledge you have, is just not true. And they responded with what I think is actually a really good comment. And they said, you can still replace the addiction or at least do something healthy that helps with the cons of the addiction. And I think that's really important because, we talk often about the KTC method and what we learn as we battle our addiction to nicotine. And what we learn is a bunch of coping mechanisms and a bunch of strategies to deal with this addiction. And what tends to come out of that, or what I've seen, is people will turn around and they will utilize those methods and apply them to other things in their life, whether it be alcohol, whether it be weight loss, whether it be, what have you. And I think that's a lot of what this particular commenter is talking about, where they're talking about replacing the addiction with something else, right? We all have addictive personalities. And I think to fight against that addictive personality is probably just an uphill battle. And I think it's much easier to harness that addictive personality and refocus it on other things, other healthy things, rather than our addiction. Good comment. Appreciate it. Next comment is from Timmy Two Tones, and he says, quite simply, what happens if you use ZYN? And again, I've never used ZYN, so I cannot speak to this with any sort of personal experience. What I can tell you, when you use nicotine, for the overwhelming majority of people, you will become addicted to nicotine, whether that's smokeless tobacco, nicotine pouches, cigarettes, cigars, what have you. The prevailing narrative today in 2024 is that nicotine is not harmful for you. And I've talked ad nauseum on this podcast about how I disagree with that sentiment. And if there are benefits to be derived from using nicotine, I won't even argue with them anymore. But what I will say is, if you're a nicotine addict, you cannot realize those benefits. So to answer your question as succinctly as I can, what happens if you use ZYN? You will become addicted to ZYN. Rich SR 2794 2 months ago says, I dipped for 24 years. I was over 2 cans a day. My last dip was Sunday, May the 12th, 2024. I appreciate the support videos. And to Rich, I just wanted to say congratulations, because quitting after 24 years is no small accomplishment. And that, my friend, absolutely needs to be celebrated. Congratulations. American Chevy 616 says, smoked for 15 and have been chewing for 12 years. I'm 39 years old. You do the math. I've tried to quit so many times I lost count. I can quit doing drugs, but can't stop chewing. And again, this is very similar to another comment that I responded to earlier in this podcast. And what I would say to American Chevy is, you're not alone. You're not the only one that is having these thoughts of you can't do it. And what I would tell you is, don't worry about the concept of quitting forever. Don't try to quit forever. Quit today and deal with today. And when you're done with today, then you can tackle tomorrow. Forever is too big. You're an addict. I was an addict. And I still, after almost 18 years, take my quit one day at a time. I won't tell you I'm quit forever. I'm quit today. Make your promise, do what it takes to stay quit today, and then deal with tomorrow when you get there. And before you know it, you will look back and you'll have a whole boatload of quit days behind you. You can do this. And I know you can do this because you can quit doing drugs. Nicotine is a drug, my friend. You've already done it. You can do it. Let me know how I can help. I'm going to wrap up the podcast here pretty quickly, maybe one or two more comments. The Brouhaha says, and this is on a video, can you swallow your spit when using Black Buffalo nicotine pouches? And I realized that when I labeled that video, it should have been nicotine-free pouches because I don't use any products that contain nicotine. But the Brouhaha says, can confirm, though I would advise getting used to the buzz first. I could be wrong, but if you're not used to the nicotine buzz, it hits you really hard if you swallow it, which could cause a little dizziness. And again, I apologize. I mislabeled the title of this video, and it makes it sound like I was using Black Buffalo nicotine pouches when that could not be further from the truth. What I will say to this is Black Buffalo pouches, the nicotine-free pouches from Black Buffalo are some of my absolute favorite alternative products on the market. And it is because they have a taste and a flavor and a feel that is really second to none. They are as real, as close to the real thing as I have found out there in the alternative market. So if you're looking for something that is really, really close to the real thing, Black Buffalo nicotine-free pouches are an awesome alternative. Again, if you're looking for something that is very, very real close to the real thing. And I'm going to end the podcast on this comment from Mark Adkins. He was responding to actually Kill the Can podcast episode 40 on YouTube. And he says, and he left this comment 2 years ago. So Mark, I apologize that it's taken me so long to get to you. He says, man, your videos have inspired me to quit. I walked out on my porch tonight and threw my 2 last cans of Copenhagen snuff into the weeds. For the most part, I'm quitting because my mouth is torn up. I'm only in my 20s and I just got married. So my decision is for the best. Congratulations, my friend, on making that decision. And you know what? Congratulations on making that decision in your 20s, because I wish that I did that. Your wife will be very happy, and to have you as a nicotine-free spouse, congratulations on your freedom. I'm honored to walk this nicotine-free path with you. Congratulations, my friend.
Join us again next time for another edition of the Kill the Can podcast.